Starting here because I actually attended this game in person. I even made a small vlog that'll come out soon, but here's a realistic take from what I saw. Indiana started off strong and took advantage of Ohio State once again, starting the game off slow as hell. It was brutal to watch Indiana carve up that secondary like a hot knife through butter for the first couple of drives. But then Ohio State woke up. A couple of turnovers on both sides of the ball, and a mistake by the Indiana punter put Ohio State in field position that they quickly took advantage of. From there, a punt return by Ohio State after halftime sent them off to the races. Indiana was completely silenced on offense. The Hoosier defense looked good at times, but the Buckeyes eventually adjusted and found a way through. The overrated chants and mocking commenced soon after, as Ohio State had a dominant second half to secure the win. To be clear, I would not say that Indiana is fraudulent. They have won most games this season by multiple scores and got to 10 wins before their first loss. They have earned everything they got going into this game. That said, they are not quite ready to take down the Goliaths like Ohio State. Maybe in a year or two when Cignetti can get in more talent and fully build the team he wants, just not right now. Be proud, Indiana. Your Hoosiers have had a magical run, but if you're thinking this automatically means Indiana isn't going to the playoffs, oh boy, do I have some news for you. So, Ole Miss, I need an explanation. Right fucking now. How in the fuck did you suddenly become scared of the red zone? It wasn't just the red zone. You dropped the ball so many times, I'm starting to wonder if someone is paying you fuckers to lose this game. It should not have happened. Florida has been a team that once was completely wrecked, slowly beginning to find himself before Texas whipped their asses 2 weeks ago. This should have been a game you won. Instead, you fumbled, dropped, and threw the game away. Multiple picks on the last 2 drives, Dart? Are you fucking kidding me? Elite quarterback my ass. You and your merry band of rebels go have fun scrambling eggs next week with Mississippi State. Just like LSU, you got fucking cooked by the Gators. Side note, Billy Napier continues to make the naysayers and the haters eat plates and plates of shit. This win did 2 things. Florida wins 2 weeks in a row against ranked opponents for the first time since 2008, and Florida has secured a spot in a bowl game. A scenario that no one would have believed back in September and October when all hope seemed lost. Nice work, Sunbelt Billy. I hate to say it when I'm wrong, but I respect the never say die attitude. Alright, BYU. Did you have fun? A laugh? A ball? Fucking yucked it up? Yeah, no, I didn't think so. The devil wears red and lives not only in Tempe, but in the heads of every BYU fan everywhere. 21 unanswered points in the first half, including an onside kick recovery that helped get one of those touchdowns. That's some ballsy bullshit right there. BYU didn't quite go away though. They put up a fight towards the end and came back to within 5. But Arizona State was able to hold off and choke out the... Wait, what?
Clock's at 2, at 1, it lands at 0, and the game's over. What a win for Arizona State. So they're going to look at this to make sure that the clock is at 000. They're going to review it to double check, because if not, BYU would have 1 play.
I actually thought he let it go a little bit early. I thought he'd wait.
Let's get Matt Austin in here, our rules expert. So, Matt, what is the ruling on this? It crosses the sideline with about 2 seconds left. Should there be any time on the clock or no?
Well, for the clock to expire, it's when the ball hits something out of bounds or hits the ground. That's when the...
Okay, what is it going to be, kids? After the fans rush the damn field early, what is going to be the outcome? A. Devils win, lol. B. Mormons win, lol. C. Kenny Dillingham shits his pants on national television. If he answered A, then congrats! BYU threw the Hail Mary and it fell short. In just 2 weeks, BYU went from heaven to hell. They had the playoffs and a spot in the Big 12 title game within their grasp, and now it's all fucking gone. Congrats, Mormons. How about you go on a mission for the next 2 years while Colorado takes over? Wait, Colorado did what? Oh, dear fucking Christ. Oh, my sweet Lord. In the name that is all and good and decent, How could you, Buffaloes? How fucking could you? Did the Big 12 as a whole see what the fuck the SEC was doing this season and just said, here, hold my Everclear? It wasn't even close. Kansas not only won, but led the entire game and beat Colorado's asses across Arrowhead. The comeback by Kansas needs to be studied by scientists. I refuse to believe this wasn't possible without some Jayhawk-grade methamphetamine. Kansas reverted back to doormat status, only to pop up in November to flatten everyone's tires at the worst possible time. Kansas's win over Colorado just did things we didn't think possible at this stage. The Big 12 might not even be represented in the playoffs if this shit keeps up.
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
God damn it, we're done now, right? No, Penn State won. Yes, it was by a point, but they fucking won. I'm not going to give this game any of my time. Upsets only, no more close calls. We're done here.
I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.
They did it. I can't believe it. The Sooners finally won their first SEC game at home, and for the love of God, it was against Alabama. The Tide were looking unstoppable coming into this game. They have been manhandling all in their way. Jalen Milroe became Jalen Milquetoast within a few quarters. 3 interceptions, 11 completions, only 7 yards rushing. 7 fucking yards. Their aggression back to his rough September form happened faster than I could chug a beer. Not even Ryan Williams could save this season, as the Sooners shut this guy down all night. I don't know if this is a sign for Oklahoma next season. I don't know if this is a sign for Alabama next season. What I do know is we have officially entered the most chaotic scenario possible. Alabama is eliminated from the SEC championship game. Barring the biggest bribe in sporting history, they are likely eliminated from the playoffs as well. I don't give a fuck if they beat Georgia. They have lost to Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and now Oklahoma on the road. 2 of these teams are 6-5. They are fucking done. Oh no, the pain isn't over for the SEC. Not by a long shot. Because Dr. Freeze has escaped from his fucking cooler, and Batman is still busy dealing with the Joker somewhere in Kansas. No one is coming to save you, A&M. You need to do it yourselves.
7 Auburn, but A&M starting this second half on the move toward the end zone. And catch! Touchdown! What a catch!
Twice this year, as good as it gets.
Play fake, Reed throws, and Thomas! Catch! There he goes! Texas A&M is a point after away from tying this game. 70.
Thank fucking God. A little bit of stability finally for the SEC tonight.
Making this year ugly. Ian Bashar has taken over this job, and he hooked it low and left and no good.
It would appear Mr. Freeze is starting to crack. Come on, Aggies. You got Texas next week. Just get ahead now and coast.
If we want to have a shot, anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday, and you're getting it.
It sure feels that way right now. Best starting field position for Auburn all game. Going deep. And a jump catch! Lambert Smith! Thorne. Hunter. Touchdown!
Nope. Gonna be a heavyweight bout the whole way. Got it. After another punt, A&M gets a bit of life from an interception by B.J. Mays. The problem, however, is A&M can only get a field goal out of it. But finally, late in the fourth, an Amari Daniels touchdown run puts A&M in the lead for the first time all night. Problem is, they only lead by 3. With 2.5 minutes left, Auburn drove the ball downfield 74 yards in 15 plays despite 3 false start penalties and a kicker they grabbed from the dumpster out back, being questionable as shit, make a field goal, and we're suddenly going to overtime. A&M loses the toss but scores with a touchdown on their first drive. Auburn scores themselves with the help of pass interference. In double overtime, both teams try but fail to get into the end zone and settle for field goals. Both teams remain tied as we enter the third overtime. It comes down to this: 1 2-point try per team per period. Whoever has the lead at the end of the periods wins. In the third overtime, both teams failed to convert the 2-point try. In the fourth, Auburn finally breaks through.
And now sprints wide left. Thorne looking middle, and what a catch!
A&M must convert in order to extend the game to a 5th overtime. Can they do it?
Answer down 43-41. Direct snap, pitch back, Reed rolls right, dropped! It was dropped! Auburn wins!
Auburn's season has been nothing but pain and despair, but for tonight, just for a fleeting moment, it's 2013 all over again. In a shocking finish to a chaotic Saturday, the Aggies of Texas A&M fall to a completely wrecked Auburn team. Maybe they shouldn't have been looking ahead, huh?
I think our focus is single-handedly on on Auburn right now. And
we were kidding ourselves the last few weeks. What if Army was good enough to beat Notre Dame? What if the Black Knights come roaring into Yankee Stadium and upset the Irish? What if Army makes the playoffs as an unbeaten conference champion? The chaos that would bring. Only if it could have been possible. Sadly, the football gods dictated that the nonsense from the SEC and the Big 12 was more than enough for one weekend, and Cinderella's clock finally hit midnight in West Point. Army was soundly beaten by a white-hot Notre Dame, who is almost frantically trying to make everyone forget that they lost to NIU at home this year by beating the brakes off of everyone in sight. The only team to get close to stopping Notre Dame was Louisville, for God's sake. Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love are a fucking problem. They went scorched earth on the Knights with a combined 5 touchdowns between them. This allowed Riley Leonard to take the night off, only throwing 13 passes for 2 touchdowns. Pretty efficient, that. The good news for Army is that for their conference, this game pretty much meant nothing. They're still going to play for the American Championship in a couple weeks in a game against Tulane. That is set in stone. Yeah, we were all hoping for them to do the funny, but as a nation, we should be proud of what Army did this season. Who knows, maybe they come back and play even better next year. Odds are they won't, but it was fun while it lasted. So now what? As mentioned earlier, the American is set in stone with Army and Tulane set to take on each other. The only thing we're still trying to figure out is home field advantage. In the ACC, SMU clinched their spot in the ACC title game after beating the hide off the Cavaliers of Virginia. They now await their opponent, which will be either Miami or Clemson. For Miami, it's simple. Win and in. If they lose and Clemson wins, then the Tigers sneak into the title game. Both lose, then Miami is in by a tiebreaker. As for the Big Ten, Ohio State now controls its destiny. Win against that team up north, and they're in the title game against Oregon, who already punched their ticket last weekend. If Ohio State loses, then Penn State will go to Indianapolis to play Oregon. If both lose, then Indiana gets a de facto home game for the Big Ten crown. If all 3 lose and it's a 3-way tie, then Ohio State will go to Indianapolis thanks to beating Indiana and Penn State head-to-head. Somehow, the Big 12 is an even bigger mess than it was last week. It's now currently a 4-way tie for first, with BYU and Arizona being the presumptive favorites to win at the moment. This is the most complicated race for a conference-style berth, so just give me a second while I break it all down. BYU is in the conference-style game with a win, and 2 of the other 3 teams tied for first, losing on Saturday. BYU, Arizona State, and Colorado are still tied for the lead Saturday. Or if BYU, Colorado, and Iowa State are tied by the end of the day, BYU will get in. Any other combo means they're out. Colorado went from the driver's seat to tie it up in the trunk after losing to Kansas, but if they win and BYU loses, they will go to the Big 12 title game. Arizona is probably the easiest one to figure out. It's simple for them, win and in. If they lose, but everybody else loses, they're going to be in. However, if they lose and 2 other teams finish the conference play at 7-2, they will be out. It doesn't matter which combination, can't have more than 2. Iowa State is somehow still here thanks to beating Utah and everybody else fucking up. If they win, and so does everybody else, making it a 4-way tie by the end of Saturday, they're going to Arlington. If they lose, they would need Colorado or Arizona State to lose as well to secure a spot. There are other scenarios that can also result in Kansas State, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia getting an unexpected trip to Arlington. But the scenarios are pretty complicated. I'm not going to go that far into it, but basically they all result in the same thing. They need all 4 of those teams at the top to lose, and then a combination of some of the other teams to lose for them to get in. Hope that helps clear it up a little bit. If it didn't, I'm sorry. Just sit back and relax and see what happens on Saturday for the Big 12. Back in the Mountain West, Boise State now waits for an opponent after officially clinching a spot and home field advantage in the conference title game by beating Wyoming. UNLV and Colorado State are the only two teams left in the running. Colorado State only needed to win out to make it in, but they lost to Fresno State on Saturday. Since Colorado State and UNLV did not play each other head-to-head this season, that tiebreaker doesn't work. The next tiebreaker for the Mountain West is whoever is ranked higher in the top 25, and currently, UNLV is ranked, Colorado State is not. Should UNLV win and State lose, the Rebels are in. If it's reversed, the Rams are in. But if both lose, it goes to the computer rankings, which would favor UNLV. Now on to the SEC, which has been an absolute implosion machine all season. But the self-imploding did the SEC a great favor for the conference title game. It cleared some shit up finally. After the dust settled from all the upsets, Georgia suddenly found themselves with a ticket to Atlanta. This is because after A&M lost to Auburn, every tiebreaker scenario would slot Georgia in regardless of result. If A&M had won, they would have clinched the spot in the SEC championship. Despite this, however, Texas A&M still controls their own destiny. The Lone Star Showdown renewal against Texas will decide who goes to the title game with Georgia. It comes down to Texas or Texas A&M. I won't even try to guess what this means for the college football playoffs. Join me live on YouTube Tuesday night at 9 p.m. for live reactions when they come out. Until then, it is the dawn of the final week of the regular season. Kick back, relax, and enjoy the ride, guys. We'll see you soon.